This is The Outlook. LGBTI news, views and culture brought to you by NewsHub. Welcome to The Outlook, where news, views and culture brought to you by NewsHub. And yes, we are hitting your iPods or whatever you listen to us on a little bit earlier this week. It's a very special edition. Not only is Stephen Oates here with us, which is worth a round of applause in itself, but Eddie Izzard is here as well.
Thank you. Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. I love your vowels. The E's are quite I-like in my.
Well, I just said how I just replied. I said kia ora. Now that is the way Maori people say hello. Or
all right,
Kiwis, New Zealanders, we all say hello that way, but it is a Maori word.
I've been hearing Maori which you could say were indigenous people, but they actually came here and. There were other people here, weren't there, initially?
No, but they were the first people here.
Could you possibly go? Well, they were the second people.
We call them...
And you were the third people.
We call them indigenous.
I know, but that is the history, isn't it?
Yes.
Because that's what we did. I'm interested in humans over 13.5
Yes, they migrated
here
from Polynesia.
Yeah, and the people who were living here said, would you like our land?
Well,
I don't want to get down on them, but I'm trying to be groovy. But
we could start a separate debate.
All battles between peoples is human, as opposed to because you would just say, okay, the European whites, they were the worst, but in fact, everyone was the worst.
Yeah,
is the truth.
But if you walk out on stage when you have your show coming up in a few days, if you say kia ora or kia ora, as most tourists say, you'll get a big round of applause.
Oh, right, because that's hello.
It means hello. Kia ora. Say kia ora, Auckland. Everyone will go, way. That's what happens when overseas stars come.
I might say bonjour.
Then we'll go boo because the French bombed one of our boats.
Bombed our Greenpeace boat.
You do what feels right for you.
Okay.
Wikipedia describes you as a stand-up comedian, actor, writer, and political activist. What would you call yourself?
I suppose I'm a writer now. I would call myself. Radical moderate. I was talking about this earlier because I do think I don't know what I'd call. I just call myself me.
Human.
I call myself Jeff. That's what I call myself.
Jeff,
which is not my name. No, I do stuff, but there is a thing. I've done a few things in my life, or I do a few things in my life, and I know some people say, so you like a challenge, you're going to do, it's as if I'm going to get, how many people can get in a Mini, how many people can get in a phone box, but it isn't that. There's only 5 things I'm trying to do, instead of one thing. I'm just trying to do 5. But it's not 73, it's just 5. I think that's kind of weird. I've just, I've just widened my smorgasbord a bit.
But that's a good segue into what I was wanted to ask you, in that you're saying, Dan's saying, what do you class yourself as?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to touch a little bit on your gender identity.
Yes.
Just something that's very, interesting to me as a queer man, and I have lots of trans friends. And because when you first came into my consciousness, and perhaps the consciousness of most New Zealanders, which was years ago, a decade ago, whatever, you were you classed yourself, I think, as transvestite,
yeah,
right?
But before that, I was TV when I first came out. If anyone had been paying attention back in 85 when I first came out, which no one was, of course, because why would they? But in 1985, when I came out 34 years ago, I was TV. There was TS and TV, and that was the thing.
And you're saying TV transvestite?
Yeah, TV transvestite, because that was the wording. And then and I said I was a TV, and people said, so how many channels have you got? And I thought, okay, this isn't getting anywhere. So then I changed my language. As people of colour, different ethnic minorities have changed language over the years, so have people, LGBT plus people have changed the language. And so I became action transvestite and executive transvestite, because this word, I reclaimed transvestite, just like the queer word has been reclaimed. Transvestite is such a heavy, lugubrious Roman word for cross-dressing.
But transvestite to me is man of heterosexual sexual orientation dressing as a woman.
Well, let's just say they're all just words, really. But if you want to say what mine was, gender fluid probably identifies me best.
Which is a very hot term right now. There's lots of people in New Zealand. Every second person is currently gender fluid.
Okay. Gender mobile.
But it seems to me that
you're not even covering on that.
No, but now you seem to be identifying yourself as transgender.
Yes, because the language changed.
Okay.
Because transgender was always the thing. I worked out there were 12 groupings of transgender in my definition, but I knew that I could talk to the next, trans person, and they would probably come up with a different definition. But it all coalesced into the word trans or transgender, and I thought, okay, well, I'll go with that. That's where I am. I fancy women. I don't seem to fancy men. I'd be very up for that, because you seem to be able to fancy everyone and wear whatever you wanted to wear, but I don't seem to, so I'm a wannabe lesbian. That was what was happening before.
But your pronouns
If I'm in
female.
girl mode, I prefer he, she, and her. And if I'm in boy mode, I prefer he and him. But
are you mostly in girl mode?
at the moment, yes.
Okay.
And
So you're a woman who is attracted to women.
yeah, trans
Your
women
orientation
being attracted
is
to women.
women.
Yeah.
That's fine. And that's fine. Like, that's
Yeah.
great. I love that. But I just,
Yeah, I know.
It's
It
just
gets
interesting. No, it's
confusing.
interesting because I used to think, transvestite, and that's all the box. That's the box I had
Yeah.
you in, and it naturally we put people in boxes. And now that I'm getting to know,
we all designed the boxes because the word was there, and then we all designed in our own heads what that box meant to us.
Yes.
And as the language moved, because as soon as I said I'm actually transgender, people said, "Whoa, you can't get rid of that box.
Yes.
You had this box over here."
Why do
And
we?
I-
Why is our culture then so obsessed with putting people in boxes and giving them labels?
I do understand that. It helps us grab hold of things. And also some people from a very positive point of view say, I'd like to bring you into society and be able to turn to that box and say, now that you're in that box, tell us about that box.
Yes.
How's
Can
your
you
box?
speak for all of those people,
Yes.
other people in that box?
Yes.
You're now the spokesperson.
And how have you decorated your box? Well, I've put I've got some
Funfair
trees in the
and glitter
background.
everywhere.
I've got a window, and I'm looking over mountains.
One more, just while we're on the topic, one
Yeah.
more question, because in the UK, in Britain, there's a lot of debate going on at the moment about gender identity in terms of births, deaths, and marriages. And there's,
Yes.
I think you're talking about it in Parliament, as we are currently talking about it in Parliament as well. And there's a bit of a backlash from a lot of people, especially TERFs. Have you heard of the
No, what is TERF?
trans exclusionary radical feminists?
Right.
That they're pushing back a little bit on trans rights, and but if you're not,
No, I know that's out there, but
if it's not something that you really,
I want to fight right-wing fascists. So I'd rather this is trial the trouble. As you get the centre left, we will quite often fight between each other instead of going forwards against the extreme right wing.
We've just had all of that happening in here. in
You've
our
just summed
community.
up Auckland Pride in one sentence.
Exactamundo. So I will. I try to stay on point. Oh, I just want to say this. There's a thing on loos, because I know loos is from. If you remove urinals from loos, then they're all just cubicles. Everyone shares, and everyone apparently behaves a lot better. And they've even tried it in some schools, and there's less bullying in the schools. So it's all just urinals. We all go to the wash your hands, go to the makeup mirror, sort your hair out, and that is the way forward on that. And people say, "Oh, I'm not sure," but then we share them in loos in restaurants. We share them in airplanes, and we just get on with it.
If they have a door that bloody closes, so we
yeah,
can just do whatever.
chuck the urinals in the bin. Regression of technology. Just throw it away.
I don't
That's my
often
idea.
say this, but I do want to share a couple of toilet stories.
Okay.
You've opened another Pandora's
At
box.
Spark Arena during one of their concerts, I noticed that they have 3 female toilets and 1 male toilet, which I thought was interesting because they just more of the people going to, I guess, there were female than male, and the quality of, it was flooding. It was disgusting and gross. But the other example is
Of which toilets? Who's
the men's.
The men's ones, yeah.
So the woman didn't want to go in there because it was so dirty. But the other funny example was I was at a One Direction concert and I went into the men's toilets and the lights weren't even on.
All right. Well, there we go. The thing I was going to say something quite clever. What was it? I think I've
3
lost
women's
it.
toilets, 1 men's toilet.
Oh yes, the queuing in theatres and places, and women are always queuing more than men. And if you make it all communal, then the queues are equal, and everyone can have a decent
Equal opportunity.
Chat.
Now that is equality. When everyone's got the same chance of
Toilet
getting to the
equality.
toilet, that is when we've reached equality.
And then we all say, just have a happy chit chat. Hi, how are you? And how are you?
but you're right about airplanes. You don't go and get on an airplane and have a men's and a women's.
Yes, and in restaurants, there's quite a lot of restaurants. Just one loo there, and you just go in, and some woman's just been before, and then a man goes in, and in my military training.
Sticking with
Well,
politics, and you did say you'd enter politics in 2020.
2020. After
Has the
training.
current situation, I use that word rather than mess, not only in the UK in terms of Brexit, but now the Labour Party itself seeming to be having some serious issues, has it put you off in any way?
No, it's if you think about it, even if it was all plain sailing and fine, and it would still be tricky. Any political situation. That's the only good thing, I think, is if you track back. Because I think we were talking about this earlier, you were saying the situation here is fine in New Zealand, all your politics is fine, but then there's lots of arguments going on. And in Australia, I just come from there, they've got lots of arguments
It's
going
the
on.
human condition.
Exactly. And if you track back through the centuries, it's also, go back to Caesar. Before that, there was Sulla, and no one remembers about Sulla, the dictator, and then you've got a Caesar, and then the civil wars that happened, and then they said, actually, we just want some strong man in charge, that's fine. So that could be you, Caesar, because you've killed everyone else, and blah, blah, blah. So it's always been hellish.
It fascinates me that we never actually learn. Like, every generation seems to start from the beginning again. It's like we don't have a cumulative knowledge.
I do think we learn. I'd argue that.
Well, why do we keep making stupid mistakes?
Yeah, because some people don't learn. The extreme right never learn because the Brexit
But that's
Trump
still a
hate thing. Well, let me
huge
finish
crowd.
on this. They're going back to 1930s politics. Yes, it is a huge crowd, and maybe the percentage of progressives to the percentage of regressives never really change as you go back all the way to Socrates and come up to now. Maybe that doesn't change, just the numbers of people in the world change. So, and I'm saying this is our last century on Earth for humanity, or it could be the first century where we make it of everyone having a fair chance, the right to have a fair chance in life, 7.5 billion people. We need to fight for that and need to keep focused on that fight as opposed to fighting between ourselves. And if
it's a waste of energy to fight amongst ourselves.
Exactly. Exactamundo. And that's what I'm going to try and do coming in. I was on the Labour Party NEC for 6 months, and I was trying to say, we're all actually agreeing with each other. We're just disagreeing on about 1 centimetre worth of point. So that's a sad thing.
So you're wanting to get more into politics in the UK?
Well, I'm going to stand as an MP.
Okay. Sorry, forgive my ignorance. When's the election? 2020.
No, we don't know when the next election is going to be. We're a mobile feast, so when
do you think roughly?
Oh, honestly, we really don't know. This is the whole question. You're literally walking into the middle of when do you think everyone's sitting there? I think there's going to be one tomorrow. I think there's going to be one. It could be any time.
Yeah,
anytime between now and 2022.
And so, do you have to find a seat to sit in? Like a location?
A seat, and then you have to win a selection for your party, and then you have to get elected. So
you're feeling good. You're feeling good about that?
Well, I have run everywhere in the UK. I ran 43 marathons, 51 days, and I've played nearly every town and city in the UK. So I used to live in Wales. I used to live in Northern Ireland. I probably wouldn't go to Northern Ireland because they have their own politics.
So if you could choose somewhere,
somewhere in England, anywhere in England,
anywhere,
don't mind. Yeah,
where did you grow up? What about?
I grew up in Yemen, and then in Northern Ireland, then in Wales, and then in the south of England. Parents are from the southeast of England, and I went to college in university in Sheffield. So I'm happy.
Many choices.
Yeah, well, normally you need to have grown up there, but I do feel I've run marathons through there, or I've played there, and I do feel, having worked with activists since 2008 in different elections, that I would be happy to try and stand in lots of different places. So I don't mind. But I'll keep going, and maybe I won't get in the first time. I'll go the second time, the third time. I'll just keep going.
Just keep going. I want to move on to comedy itself, and
comedy.
Comedy.
Oh, I got one thing about LGBT. I want to say LGBT plus.
Yep.
Is that when we hit? I have this line I'm saying. When we hit boring, we've made it. When our whole
honey, we've made it.
well. But in the sense of, if you say that to someone who maybe isn't LGBT plus, and they go, "Oh right, okay, you're gay, you're lesbian, trans, or whatever," but what do you do? Oh, I play the banjo. And are you any good at the banjo? I'm a banker. Oh, are you any good at that? Are you enlightened as a banker? Are you I'm an accountant? I am dressed as whatever you do. That's what's interesting. What you add to the human existence is the thing. And sexuality. Like if someone says, "I'm straight," you go, "So? Yeah. What do you do?" That's what we're in, and we're getting there. We are getting there. It is way better.
But it's interesting how I think some straight people on the conservative end of the spectrum, they look at us like we are
one group,
a walking sex act in a way, because they get obsessed with. They think your sex life becomes your identity. Right. And it's like, honey, I wish that was true. But like we are so much more than just who we are attracted to as humans.
Well, that's what we're all pushing to get to, and. And if you're straight male or straight female, there's also lots of, if you take your fantasies and wrote them all out truthfully with a truth drug, then we go, whoa, that very conservative person.
That would be a really fun study to
That would be an interesting one.
So it'd be like, if you could read someone's mind, read people's minds, but I think you'd go insane because it'd be opening a Pandora's box you wish you hadn't opened. And
Pandora, when she opened her box, she found some socks in there and a hat, and that was the dangerous stuff.
Comedy. I want to know what your thoughts are on the difference between US and British comedy. If you look at the British stuff, it's a lot more camp. You've got Mrs. Brown's Boys, Julian Cleary, Graham Norton, Alan Carr, yourself, many, many examples. But in the USA, not so much.
No, I would disagree with that. You can't say the British comedy is camp.
What?
No. I'm not camp. I'm distinctly not camp.
No, but he's saying in general, British comedy versus American. Come on, but in America they would never have Heidi High or Mr. Humphreys from Are You Being Served?
I know, but
Lily Savage.
No, we could. Oh no, they will have there's LGBT plus comedians out there,
but in America, not flamboyantly on television. Going back.
Ellen has been out quite...
Ellen is so mainstream and straight. Come on.
Yes.
Ellen has been out for such a long time now, and I'm not going to list them all because I don't know everyone's name, encyclopedia. But the point is, I've had this thing where they say, "Oh, Britain has a camp thing built on it," which I just don't think. We have very
pantomime.
Extreme, yes, I know. No, there's traditions in the country, and the pantomime, if you think about it, is actually a straight person's way of dealing with alternative sexuality.
But it's camp.
It can be. If you saw Julian Clary doing the pantomime we did with Dawn French, that was very interesting.
You would never get that, and you would never get a man like that playing a fairy godmother on Broadway.
I know, but they just didn't have the pantomime tradition go through. But if they did, they would. And they do the hazy pudding thing in Harvard, where they isn't that in men throwing on dresses and doing stuff. It's different things and different. I just don't think we should label it like, because Monty Python, the essence of that is not camp. And that's not. That's one of our greatest exports, and that is just surreal. So we have a lot of surreal comedy, we've got political comedy, we've got this comedy, we have the whole gamut, and I think every country does, but we had the tradition of pantomime for a long time, so that will exist out there.
So that could be the root of some of those.
I mean, they had Will and Grace.
Yeah, but again, they have to have...
High to Will and Grace.
Yes,
I mean,
but these come quite late. Also, Will and Grace, Will was the straight, he had to be the respectable, the straight, the non-threatening, and then you could have your camp character next to him. They don't just have just a camp character.
No, but I don't think there are any rules anymore. I think certain things have gone from before, but I just wouldn't say that Britain is a certain thing. I just think we're a myriad of things if you look at it. But broadly, there's no national sense of humour. This is the thing I want to say. I don't think there's a New Zealand sense of humour, British sense of humour, Chinese sense of humour. That doesn't exist. There's just mainstream and alternative sense of humour in every country. Just like in music, there's a mainstream sense of music and an alternative sense, or theatre or film, independent film, mainstream film. And you just need to hook up with the more alternative audiences around the world. Monty Python being the barnstormers for this, because if you hook up with anyone who likes Monty Python around the world, then they'll probably like my stuff. So mine's off the wall. You need to know enough comedy to know what I'm going to do. I sometimes go on stage and go, an Englishman, an Irishman, and a Welshman go into a pub with a German, a Chinese man, a Burgundian crossbowman, 2 kippers, a fridge, a monkey, a sock, a thimble, Mrs. McGivern, a teapot. And I just keep adding lists, and they're going, well, where's this going? And then the barman goes, what is this? I said, well, I think we're supposed to be doing a joke. And there's no joke in it. I just keep whittering away because, and some people go, I don't know what you're doing, but other people do know that I am just dismantling the system.
Pulling them
so
apart.
You are, how many times have you been to New Zealand?
I'm not even here now. No, this is my 5th tour.
You've broken it. You've broken it.
And I've played Dunedin as well. I'd like to go back to Dunedin.
Yeah. Might be a bit cold at the moment, though.
I know, but
it'll be all right.
But they were a very lovely audience.
Very Scottishy.
But apparently when the Beatles played there, they didn't quite sell out, and I didn't quite sell out. So that's me
and
the
there you go.
on the same...
Yes, you're up there with the Beatles.
Yeah.
So Wellington Tuesday night, Christchurch Wednesday night, Auckland Spark Arena on the 1st of March. Tickets are via Ticketmaster or Ticketek, depending on which venue and which city you are in.
Or eddieizard.com.
Or eddieizard.com. Or, of course, on the News Hub Podcast's website.
Are you in Auckland on the 3rd of March? You can come and be a judge at my dog show, my LGBT dog show.
You got a dog show?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. I think I fly then to Perth. Is that the day that I'm playing?
Dog show Perth. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I know what I'd choose, but that's just me.
If there's a topic you'd like us to cover or an opinion you'd like to share, then you can email us, theoutlook@mediaworks.co.nz, or leave us a message by calling 0800 002 898, and on Facebook, search for News Hub Podcasts. There is plenty to do in Auckland this weekend. Of course, Eddie Izzard's show on Friday the 1st of March. And then on Sunday is the Wolf Dog Show in Ponsonby. Stephen, it's your little baby.
Yes, Wolf the Auckland Rainbow Dog Show is happening. And 1 o'clock is registrations. And then we hit the catwalk, or should I say dog walk, at 2 o'clock. It's all happening down in Western Park in Ponsonby. Now, it's on the bottom part of Western Park.
Yes, so remember this, people, because a lot of people get it wrong.
So if you're up on Ponsonby Road looking for us, you won't see us, because you don't see the bottom part of the park from Ponsonby Road. You've got to walk down into the park, and we will be there down in the gully. There's a bit of a natural amphitheatre down there. And so 1 o'clock, come along and register. And then 2 o'clock it starts. And it's basically a dog dress-up show. I mean, that's what the guts of it is that you dress your dogs up in cool, fun campy costumes, and then we the judges judge them. We have things like best dressed, dog owner lookalike. We've got a new category this year, which is wee woofers, and that is kids and their dogs.
Oh.
We've got the most camp dog and the most butch dog, and then best trick or talent. And then from all of those categories, we choose the best one, the best in show.
Best in show. And who is judging?
Well, I can't tell you all of my embargoed secrets right now. In other words, some are still to confirm. But we've got the TV presenter and style guru Colin Mathura-Jeffrey. We've got international drag diva Buckwheat. We have a comedian, actor, director, and Snapchat guy, the hilarious Tom Sainsbury. We've got the Green MP, Jan Logie.
Cool.
Yes, and then we might have a couple of others, maybe. Or we might not. Depends if I can be bothered with them.
Fingers crossed the weather is good. We should.
It's looking good. It's looking good. Because last year it rained out, so fingers crossed.
Yeah. I think the main thing is to remember that it is down the bottom end of the park.
1 o'clock start.
Even if you don't have a dog like me, sadly, just come along, and it is just about having fun looking at cute dogs, kids with cute dogs, and people who are very, very, very passionate about their dogs. Would that sum it up quite nicely?
Yeah, and some of us don't take it too seriously. And it's nice it is an LGBTI event, but of course we invite all of our straight whānau and friends to come along as well. So it's a really good mix of just nice rainbow people from all spectrums.
And you're fundraising for the SPCA?
Yes, we're fundraising for the SPCA. So it's $5 to enter the competition itself, and that goes straight to the SPCA. Otherwise, there'll be buckets that you can pop some money in to make a donation if you choose to do so.
If you want to get in touch with the podcast, on Facebook, just search News Hub Podcasts. You can call us on 0800 002 898 and leave us a message, and email us theoutlook@mediaworks.co.nz. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. That was The Outlook from News Hub, the latest in queer news, views and culture. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes, Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms. The Outlook is presented and produced by Dan Lake, and the executive producer is Maggie Wicks.